Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire? You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Today's episode takes us back to one of reality TV's most infamous families, the Duggars. TLC's 19 Kids and Counting wasn't just another reality show. At its height, it was a cultural phenomenon. With its focus on Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar raising their sprawling family of 19 children under a banner of strict Christian values, the series became one of TLC's biggest hits. For years, it painted a picture of wholesome family life, faith, and tradition that attracted millions of viewers and spawned spin-offs, books, and speaking tours. But beneath the polished surface, troubling cracks began to emerge. Allegations of abuse, manipulation, and secrecy eventually brought the show and the Duggar family's carefully crafted public image crashing down. The most devastating blow came with the scandal surrounding Josh Duggar, Jim Bob and Michelle's eldest son, whose history of molestation allegations and later conviction on child sexual abuse material charges not only horrified the public, but also destroyed the Duggar empire on TLC. What had once been sold as a feel-good story of faith and family became one of reality TV's darkest cautionary tales. I first spoke with Amy Duggar King back in 2018, and even then I could sense how careful and guarded she was when it came to discussing her famous relatives. She had been cast as crazy cousin Amy, the outspoken outsider to the Duggar machine. But now, Amy is ready to tell the real story of life behind the patriarch's family. In her new book, Holy Disruptor, Amy offers an unfiltered perspective on what it was like to grow up alongside her 19 cousins and live under the shadow of Jim Bob Duggar's authority. She reveals the manipulation, coercion, and silenced voices behind the polished image, while also sharing the painful secrets of her own upbringing. Her book isn't just about exposing hypocrisy. It's about freedom, healing, and reclaiming a voice she once was told to keep quiet. And that's what makes this conversation so important. Amy's story forces us to reckon with how image, power, and silence can protect abuse, and why speaking the truth is an act of courage. And as you'll hear, understanding Jim Bob Duggar's own origin story also helps connect some of the dots behind the family's dynamics, and why his response to his son's actions followed such a troubling pattern. Here is my interview with Amy Duggar King. Amy, I'm so happy to see you. I remember interviewing you years ago, and what a full circle moment to read your book and to think about how much has changed since the last time I interviewed you. Because what I remember so much is I felt like you were on the cusp of kind of having an awakening, but weren't totally there yet. I felt like you were still protecting someone or something.
Yeah, it's so good to be back. I appreciate you so much for having me on the show. A lot has changed. It has been quite the journey, girl. Let me tell you. I definitely feel like I've grown, I've healed, and now I'm ready to just share the truth.
Yeah. I'm going to assume as people listen to this, they're going to go, I think I knew this story. Boy, did they not know it totally. And I think that the first thing I want to say is that how much I admire your strength and your courage, because given everything you've lived through and the complicated family circumstances that you have faced, it takes a remarkable amount of resilience to not just stand up in your own truth, but also to use your voice in a way that helps others. You have taken those experiences that could have silenced you and instead turned them into a source of light, honesty, and empowerment. And I'm so thrilled and honored that I can have this conversation with you today.
Oh my goodness, you're going to bring tears to my eyes. This is what you do every time. I think I cry on your show every time. I thank you. You know, I have been through a lot more than most people even know about. And it's not just about dropping jaws and dropping the truth and truth bombs and all of that, but it's also, you know, sharing my story for the first time and being like, here's the real me, and how can we connect? How can I help you in your life? And I do think the readers are not ready for it.
Yeah. Well, and so many people have followed this family. I think at first there was like a fascination because there were so many kids. And then I think a lot of women really joined, kind of from my perspective, that we kept watching because we were waiting for a moment where Michelle and the young women who were a part of that family would have their own awakening. And I think some of them have moved in that direction. And I think we all kind of hold out hope that at some point Michelle can get her own power back. And in reading the beginning of the book, you go through the principles of the Institute in Basic Life Principles and really do a great job of just kind of outlining the most important things that people need to know. And I wanted to go through some of them. A wife must submit and refrain from challenging her husband. A woman may not pursue independence or self-reliance. Women must not be seen and not heard and never in charge. A husband has full access to his wife's body. Higher education is not a possibility for women. Women are expected to nurture a gentle and quiet spirit. Women must not show bare shoulders, knees, or collarbones. You cannot wear black clothes. You cannot have piercings. Women must keep hair long. Children are the father's property, like goods to be owned and controlled. Children must obey out of fear. Children are to follow the program life, homeschooled, isolated, and uninformed. Children must undergo physical discipline. Children learn obedience best through blanket training. No interracial relationships, and counseling needs to be provided by an IBLP member. What was it like to grow up with this sort of influence in your extended family?
I just saw through all of the things. I mean, clearly those rules are a lot. There's a lot of control. There's a lot of fear. And that's what it's really based on. I just saw cracks from the very beginning. I was like, this is crazy. No one should have that much control over someone. And I used to say, well, I guess God knew that I couldn't belong in this family like that. I couldn't be homeschooled. I couldn't be an IBLP member because I would be like a bull in a china cabinet. And I've always said that. So yeah, growing up, I just knew there was a lot of rules and I tried my best to follow them. But my gosh, there was so many. There was so many. I was just like walking on eggshells all the time.
So let's talk about your family. I always think origin stories are so helpful in kind of making us understand how families operate. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to even maybe your great-grandparents. And then if you could just walk us through the family dynamics that have really kind of shaped how you, the cousins, all kind of live today.
Whew, that's a lot. Okay, so my grandparents, my great-grandparents, I didn't know. I was a baby. So I don't remember any of them. But
I'm from the Midwest. Always?
Yes, always, Arkansas raised and born and, that kind of thing. I guess those two, my great grandpa had a huge drinking problem. He was a huge alcoholic. And that really started something in our family where he ran around and cheated on his wife. And I don't really know how deep that hole goes. I have no idea. But I know that influenced how my grandpa was raised. And I know that because of my grandpa being raised in such a yelling, hostile environment, he picked up those traits as well. And so his life was a spiral out of control. I mean, he was a downhill slope from the beginning. And no one talks about it. No one in my family ever talks about it. And so from there, he had his own kind of abuse that I share in the book, and what he did to my mom and the things that's happened. And from there, my mom was hurt in ways that she never should have been. And because of that, she protected me. She was the first Holy Disruptor in my life that was like, it ends with me. It doesn't have to continue. And my grandma too, as well. And so I think it just shows that like generational trauma is so real. And so like, if you don't get a hold of it and you don't look at your family for what it really is, those patterns can continue. And I'm so thankful that my mom knew what to do and knew how to protect me in the midst of chaos. Katie, I can't even tell you how much chaos was in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That I was surrounded by abuse. I was surrounded by people trying to control, narcissism. Like it just is awful. Like all of it was just so heavy all the time.
So people who were deep into their faith, was there a denomination that they followed?
IBLP was huge. I never followed it, but I was also in just the Baptist church.
So like the great-grandparents and the grandfather deep into Baptist faith?
Right, Baptist faith. So they would all go to church and then yell at their wives and cheat on their wives and all of that. And it was all swept under the rug from years and years and years ago.
Alcohol abuse,
as well as physical, as well as sexual.
And your grandmother and your great-grandmother, were they homemakers? Did they have any source of income that was independent of their husband?
I'm not sure about my great-grandma, but my grandma took the reins of her family, and she had to do what she could in order to provide for her kids. And my grandpa, he got involved in a fraudulent dealing with a car dealership, and he was in prison, or he was in jail for a little while. And so my grandma was left with nothing, and so she took over and started her own real estate company. And that's how they survived. They really did. It's her resilience is the reason why there is, Good Neighbor Realty today. And one of my cousins has taken that over.
So growing up, your mother had just one sibling, Jim Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And the dynamics between the siblings were what?
I think they were loving. They did everything together. They also, held each other and cried whenever their parents were fighting, and it was nonstop. So they grew up with a lot of yelling, a lot of turmoil.
And Jim Bob is kind of described as quiet.
Mm-hmm. Very quiet. My Uncle Jim Bob, like I said, I wasn't around, but my mom tells me he was very quiet. He was kind. He had a good heart. Just an overall really, really good boy growing up, and a good son, and just a good friend, and someone that she truly loved and admired.
How long did your grandfather go to prison for? And at what age were the siblings when that happened?
So I believe it was when my mom was in high school is when all of that took place. He didn't go to prison. I think he just went to jail, but I think it was for about 30 days, maybe even longer.
Okay. So how old would Jim Bob have been around that time?
Around that time. I think he's like 2 years younger than my mom.
Hi, I'm Denise Chan, host of Scam Factory. You might remember hearing about our investigative series that exposed what's really happening behind those suspicious texts you get. Inside heavily guarded compounds across Asia, thousands are trapped and forced to scam others or risk torture. One of our most powerful stories was Jella's, a young woman who thought she'd found her dream job, only to end up imprisoned in a scam compound. Her escape story caught the attention of Criminal's Phoebe Judge, and I'm honored to share more details of Jella's journey with their audience. But Jella's story is just one piece of this investigation. In Scam Factory, we reveal how a billion-dollar criminal empire turns job seekers into prisoners, and how the only way out is to scam your way out. Ready to uncover the full story? Binge all episodes of Scam Factory now. Listen to Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
In November 1974, IRA bombs ripped through 2 Birmingham pubs, killing 21 innocent people. Hundreds more were injured. It was the worst attack on British soil since the Second World War.
When a crime this appalling and shocking happens, you want the police to act quickly. And boy, did they. The very next day, they had 6 men in custody. Confessions followed, and the men were sent down for life.
Good riddance, you might think, except those men were innocent. Join me, Matt Ford.
And me, Alice Levine.
For the latest series of British Scandal, all about the Birmingham Six.
It's the story of how a terrible tragedy morphed into a travesty of justice, and how one man couldn't rest until he'd exposed the truth.
Follow British Scandal now wherever you listen to podcasts, and binge entire series early and ad-free on Wondery Plus.
When we talk about your grandfather's fraud, how expansive is it? And what did that fraud entail?
I don't honestly know a ton about it. I just know that he did like a fraudulent deal for a car. No one really talks about it in my family. My mom, even though that's her dad, she didn't have all the details, but it was something that it obviously it didn't work. It was something that was, definitely not, it was frowned upon completely. And yeah, he was arrested and put in jail because of it.
Outside of that, what was his vocation?
He was kind of like an entrepreneur. He loved cars. He loved to just sell anything he could in order to make money at the time. We always said that he could sell flip-flops to an Eskimo. I think I even have that in my book. And so, yeah, he was just really good at sales. And so he sold furniture for a little while, and then he got in the car business. And it's interesting now that, there's other people in our family that are in the car business too, and they have their own dealership.
Would you call him a little bit of a grifter?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he would definitely do things he didn't care about who he hurt or what he sold. If it meant something to you, he would sell it. And I share a lot of that in the book. But yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. He had this insane, greed kind of thing. He couldn't have enough. He could not have enough. And so he was always trying to buy something, and he literally was like a child. And so my grandma had to take over all the money and all the financial aspect of their marriage.
Do you think Jim Bob respected what his mother did?
I think Jim Bob did. Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for him clearly, but I would think so. Yes. I think Jim Bob is very smart. My uncle is a very smart man. And I do think that he got that from grandma. Very businesslike in a lot of ways. Yes.
So as the siblings got older, you say in the book that your mom did not want you around your grandfather.
I was protected from my grandpa for many, many reasons, as much as she could protect me. Yes.
And do you have memory of that?
I do. I have so many memories of that. Started off when I was a little girl watching, Disney movies in the living room, all the way up till high school. He wasn't allowed to be in the car with me. He couldn't. I couldn't be alone with him in any kind of way.
Have other people come forward to back up the feelings that your mother had? Are there other people that also have told you about your grandfather?
Yes, I've had several people. When I owned my own boutique clothing store in town, I've had several women actually shop with me and tell me, I'm really glad that you have this, but I knew your grandpa back in the day, and just older women. My grandma knew of all kinds of stories that my mom knew, and it's just crazy how they were completely dismissed, and it makes it really hard to believe that it didn't happen.
What has that been like for your mother? now that you are at an age in which you can have these difficult conversations?
I think honestly, it created like such a strong bond between us. We, like I say in the book, like we have this bond that like no one can break. And just being able to share the truth with each other, has been amazing. It's been so enlightening. I understand a lot of her past. I understand just a lot of like what makes her her, and the things that she's healed from and the things that she's still working on. And I just have like a better sense of sympathy for her, and just we're in it together. We're a team. It's this amazing relationship that we really truly didn't have before she told me all of this.
So once you got this information, did things start to click in place for you? And I remember you told me that your home kind of backed up across the valley, I guess, to your cousins.
Yeah.
How much time did you really spend with them? Because they are so deep into this church and you are the outsider. And you talk about how you show up to filming one day and I'm sure those producers were elated. Like, there's a normie. There's a normie, like, mic her up.
Yeah.
And surprising that he would be okay with that. Well, I guess because the alternative you said that at one point they floated the idea of having like a normie from California come. Yep. And that probably seemed like much more of a threat than having you.
Right. I think because I knew the rules, I knew everything that was going to be a better fit, honestly. So I grew up with my cousins. I was always at their house because if you have read the book, then you know that like my childhood was nothing but yelling and chaos 24/7. So that was my safe haven. It was a place for me to go and just relax. I could breathe and I could be happy and I could play outside and I could just kind of like not think about the problems at home. So I was very, very close with my family, even though it was very surface level. We had jokes. We had inside jokes and there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of laughter. Because that's all there was allowed at my cousin's house. Everything was very fluffy and sweet and kind and just really wholesome. And it was something that I loved growing up. It was like a natural fit. It wasn't like I'm just this random cousin that just came over one day and they're like, oh yeah, we'll have you on the show. Like, no, I was always over there. So it was just like, and he's like, jump on in. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it was a natural progression for me to be on the show, but it was never like something that I was trying to aim for or be a part of. It just literally happened out of nowhere one day.
Now, of course, your grandmother says, oh, trust Jim Bob with the contract. Like, he works in the TV industry. He's got you covered. And of course, then you find out you're not financially covered and that you are signing a contract which ensures that you have to show up for filming and for a long period of time and whether or not you liked it. How did you fight the bitterness that I would assume, have when you feel like someone has your best interest and you are not only not getting financially compensated, but now feel bound by a contract that makes you film at times where you may not feel the best version of yourself. And you're also getting older, so things are clicking in place. Like, I don't really share the same value system. I don't like the way that they operate in their own family.
So for me, even though I didn't understand why my uncle did that, why I was chosen blindly to follow that, why, all the things, in my heart of hearts, he would tell me and tell all the kids, this is a ministry. This is a ministry. This is a ministry. We help people. This is our story on TV. We're going to help a lot of people. We're going to share Jesus with all these people. So I was thinking, okay, I've got to figure out a job, that's going to be flexible enough to allow me to film, because now I'm in this huge contract. Two, and the network is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. The network was wonderful, but it was just maybe not exactly what I should have signed. Let's just say that. But in my opinion, I think he saw an opportunity to just not let me be paid in order for, for ratings. Let's just be honest. And I guess I just thought, well, maybe he wants me to be part of it because I can still help people. So I had a really good, I don't know. I was kind of blinded by the fact of is he really being a snake right now? In my opinion, is he really being a snake? Or is he just he sees things that I don't see?
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't bitterness, but it was my first moment where my ears perked up and I was like, huh, interesting.
Right.
I'm going to pocket that in the back of my mind and I'm going to remember that.
Did the network ever say we're interested in having you do more or even a spinoff?
Yeah, I actually had my own spinoff. It was on 19 Kids and Counting, but I did have my own spinoff for a while. Well, I say a while. It wasn't a while. It was 2 specials that I did in Nashville. And yeah, that was really fun.
All of that income goes back to him.
Yeah. So I actually got paid $15,000 for my initial special. But as far as having my own brand or anything like that, I didn't know what I was even doing, but I did have my own film crew and I had my own, my own thing going on for a minute. But I just realized real quickly that Nashville wasn't for me.
Yeah. So as you're growing older, then we move into the scandal involving your cousin. Can you walk us through what that was like for you?
That was heartbreaking. I found out just like everyone else did on national television. I was told that there was no truth to the story. I was told that there was several fibs, if you want to call it that, of just not being truthful and not saying what really was going on. And it was heartbreaking. I loved my cousins like they were my sisters, And so the fact that they were hurt and violated in any kind of way just tore me up inside.
It's hard to imagine growing up in a family of that size and you're on a TV show and you have so many rules in your own family. Did you ever get a sense from the siblings I don't want to be part of this anymore?
I didn't. I really didn't. Everybody, I can't even tell you how wholesome and how happy and how like everyone was so welcoming. I mean, they had people over their house all the time. People were just always talking and socializing. And I mean, there was tons of food everywhere. And it was one big party every single day.
Mm.
Every single day, everyone was out. Everyone was out to see. Everyone was playing and having fun and laughing and talking about who knows what. And just very you walked in and it was a black and white television show. Everybody got along. Everybody smiled. Everybody was just literally perfect. Mm-hmm. So I had no inkling because I mean, the only thing was they didn't allow sleepovers, but I never thought anything of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that don't. I understand.
Why do you think that they had that rule?
Well, you know the reason why.
Yeah.
You know that reason why. Yeah. But they never went further into it, Mm-hmm. It was just oh, we don't allow that. And we just la 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 continue la la la. And so it was very just.
Do you think that they continued with that policy once Josh was out of the house?
I am sure of it. I bet you they did. Yeah.
On Boxing Day 2018, 20-year-old Joy Morgan was last seen at her church, Israel United in Christ, or IUIC.
I just went on my Snapchat and I just see her face plastered everywhere.
This is The Missing Sister, the true story of a woman betrayed by those she trusted most.
IUIC is my family and the best family that I've ever had.
But IUIC isn't like most churches.
This is a devilish cult.
You know when you get that feeling where I don't want to be here. I want to get out. It's like that feeling of, I want to go home now.
I'm Charlie Brinkhurst-Cuff, and after years of investigating Joy's case, I need to know what really happened to Joy. Binge all episodes of The Missing Sister exclusively and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus. Start your free trial of Wondery Plus on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or in the Wondery app.
It's your man, Nick Cannon, and I'm here to bring you my new podcast, Nick Cannon at Night. I've heard y'all been needing some advice in the love department. So who better to help than yours truly? Nah, I'm serious. Every week, I'm bringing out some of my celebrity friends and the best experts in the business to answer your most intimate relationship questions. Having problems with your man? We got you. Catching feelings for your sneaky link? Let's make sure it's the real deal first. Ready to bring toys into the bedroom? Let's talk about it. Consider this a non-judgment zone to ask your questions when it comes to sex and modern dating in relationships, friendships, situationships, and everything in between. It's gonna be sexy, freaky, messy, and you know what? You'll just have to watch the show. So don't be shy. Join the conversation and head over to YouTube to watch Nick Cannon at Night or subscribe on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Wanna watch episodes early and ad-free? Join Wondery Plus right now.
How does that feel as a young person to walk into a house that seems so perfect, but then as you get older and you're really confronted with the hypocrisy of the rules of the IBLP, that this is not a family that actually is living this Pleasantville life, that there's some real darkness underneath?
Well, I mean, clearly that's why I am here today. That's why there's a book, boundaries are important. And so I just started to really look at what I was taught, what I was around, what I believed. And it was like almost all a lie. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like, bye. I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure this out. And as you know, there was even more scandals. And the last one was the lowest of the low. It doesn't get much lower than that, in my opinion. And, I had to walk away. I had to say, peace is more important than your toxicity. Peace is more important than all of that.
Was there one moment, a specific moment where you decided I'm going to speak up and it doesn't matter what?
Yeah, I had a clear moment. No one was telling me what the heck was going on with when the House of Horrors was a magazine cover that showed up on, I think, I don't even know what magazine cover it was, but I saw a magazine cover. I had people swarming and asking me all kinds of questions, and it was, on the news, and there was all kinds of, there's a scandal taking place. And I was like, what in the world? And I would ask everybody. I asked my uncle. I asked everybody, and no one would give me a straight answer. And I was fed up. And I remember being like, that's it. I'm going over there. And so I punched in the gate key. I drove in, I found Josh, looked him straight in the eye, and confronted him.
What did he say?
He didn't have much to say, but what he said just shook chills down my spine. And I talk a lot about that in the book. It was a really crazy moment for me because I realized that the way he was speaking to me, it was calculated, and it wasn't something that could ever go back to normal. I realized in that moment that I'm going to share my truth. I'm going to tell exactly how I feel. And whether they like it or not, they're going to hear me. And I just wanted to protect the girls. And I just had a lot of questions. And I was going to get them. I was going to get those answers.
Did Jim Bob or Michelle know that you confronted him?
Yeah, my uncle walked in on it.
And what was his reaction? Because he's raising women to feel subservient and that their opinion doesn't matter, and that in the patriarchy. So what is his reaction to his niece standing up and confronting his son, someone with whom he has protected?
He was extremely, in my opinion, condescending. Yeah. And dismissive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you see the girls after you confronted Josh?
I did not. I saw the girls before I went to see Josh. And I left. I was raging red. I was so hurt. I felt like, I just felt like I am not this crazy cousin, aimlessly going through life with no direction. Like, I have a purpose and this isn't right. And for the first time, I felt like I have a voice and I'm okay with speaking the truth. and I'm not looking back. And I didn't. I haven't.
So what do we know now about how Josh, the problem of Josh, was dealt with within the family and with the church?
Yeah, in my opinion, I believe that Josh didn't get the help that he asked for and that he wanted. And I think he really was screaming for help at one point. I truly do. No one heard him. It grew, unchecked, and it just festered, and it turned into something unrecognizable.
So now that you've heard this story from your mother and you have a better understanding of Jim Bob's life, do you feel even more enraged because he grew up in a home where his father was not honest in many facets of his life, and he chose to join a church that had all of these rules, and then he protected his son who was a predator?
I honestly, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at anyone. I don't have any bitterness or hatred in my heart. At one point, I didn't know how I felt. I was so confused. Now I have peace, and I can literally say, like, it doesn't matter what happens next. Like, it doesn't have to, like, bother me on the inside. And I can just say that. But for me, I honestly feel sorry for him. He never got the help that my uncle needed, in my opinion. He needed counseling from all the things he saw with his family and his parents. And, it went both ways. It went two different ways, as you can tell, with my mom and Jim Bob. And I believe that he just wanted a peaceful home. And I do believe that it just got way out of control. And I do believe he had good intentions to begin with. I believe the IBLP had good intentions to begin with. But when you don't have accountability, look what happens.
Well, it doesn't seem like he has any accountability.
The fact that there has been a lot of lies, there's been a lot of things happen. Yes, it makes me question a lot. At one point, though, I do believe he had a good heart. I would like to believe that. But then again, I can't speak for him. It's just, I go with what I'm shown and what I'm told.
Have you been in touch with the family since then, all of your younger cousins? And has it presented a problem within the family that you are outspoken?
Oh, I will tell you right now, the family is completely divided. I haven't spoken to so many of them in so many years. I actually saw John David just the other day, and it was the first time I've seen him in probably 5+ years. I'm not even kidding. And I just said, hi. And he was like, hi. And like, we had nothing to say to each other. And it was the weirdest feeling. It's complete. Yeah. They don't want me to speak out. No one does, but at the same time, like, I feel like the darkness can't hide forever. And you have to just be honest about everything in order to live like a good, solid, happy life with peace. You have to talk about it, And I think that we are commanded to tell our story. And it's not like I'm just like have this book and it's just all about the Duggars and Duggar. No,
it's the story of your family.
It's the story of my family. And I can't help the fact that I'm related. I cannot help the fact of like everything that's gone on. And so it's just a part of the chapters in the book that are like, they have to be in there. It was a part of my life. And so no matter if there's NDAs, no matter if there's anything, I'm going to be outspoken. I am, because I think it's going to help a lot of people that read it. And it's going to help a lot of people that listen to it and listen to this podcast.
Do you think that there's still a stranglehold on the girl cousins, an emotional stranglehold where they still feel uneasy about speaking out anything that goes against the family?
In my opinion, yes. I believe that the IBLP doesn't necessarily encourage women to find their voice. And regardless if they're married or if they're not, yeah, I think a lot of them struggle with that because they were taught for so long and they were kind of groomed in that way to not speak up and that their voice doesn't matter. And honestly, I felt the exact same way growing up in a whole different other kind of way. And so I can relate to being like, oh my gosh, telling my story has been so powerful and it's been very healing. to just be like, here I am. And you like me or not, I don't care, but here I am, you know?
Well, you go through a list at the end where you're kind of giving some advice to those that are feeling entrapped. Learn to trust your instincts, see clearly in a fog of lies, unearth and use your authentic voice, become a holy disruptor, disrupt cycles of generational trauma in your family, break free from toxic environments, embrace freedom, enhance your well-being, live with passion and purpose. If someone's listening today and beginning to question the environment that they grew up in, what would you want them to know?
Oh my goodness. I would like for them to really think about the people they have in their inner circle and the things that they believe. And I would begin to question it. And I would begin to say and think like, hey, do these people in my life, are they healthy? Are they happy? Are they bringing good things into my life? Because if they're bringing chaos, confusion, if they make you cry at night, if they make you feel scared, if you feel controlled, if you feel trapped in any kind of way, that's a sign of abuse. And I talk a lot about narcissistic abuse in my book because I've been there in a lot of different ways. I have been there. I have seen it. I have been a part of it. And it completely like crashes you down. You know, you feel empty inside. You feel like you're the only one. You feel like no one will understand. And you feel like you were like, your life is going to end at any moment because you never know how bad it's going to get. And I just want to encourage those out there that are hurting. You don't have to live like that. You don't. Peace is worth it to step away and to be the one in your family that starts something new, starts something fresh.
Is there one thing too that I wonder this, having walked out of a family that has so many family members that have set up systems of control, is there one thing that if someone's listening and they're starting to question things, is there one thing that really is true that you can identify as an example of being trapped in a system of control or silence?
I think fear. I think fear is really what it is. It's like, if you do this, what's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, how much do we put up with because someone's a family member? You know, like, oh, that's just so-and-so. That's just how he is. But if they put you down, they joke around, they don't take you seriously. It's all the things they do. If they're condescending, if they belittle you, if they lie to you, hello, they don't love you. And that's abuse. And so don't live in fear. Don't live in fear.
Also, not feeling like you can be your most authentic self around someone, and also feeling like that you're walking on eggshells all the time.
For sure. I felt like the eggshells were like tiny little bombs going to go off at any moment. And I felt that all the way from childhood until my adulthood, until I was married and things changed for my life, that I was like, what was I a part of?
Yeah.
And things got to change finally.
What is your prayer for your cousins?
Oh my gosh, I haven't spoken to them in so long. My prayer for them is that they will begin to think for themselves and that they can be happy and healthy. And they don't, like I said, they don't have to live in fear. And regardless of what they do, God's still going to love you. And I'm always going to love them as well.
Well, tell everybody where they can buy the book and where they can find you.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so Holy Disruptor is out October 14th, and it is sold wherever books are sold. So I am so grateful for that. And then my Instagram is at Amy Rochelle King on Instagram, or TikTok is Amy R. King.
Like I said, it has been really fascinating and inspiring to see the evolution that you've taken over the last few years. And writing about stuff like this is very hard because you love relatives, but you also have to recognize that they've caused pain. And I'm sure this has not been an easy process for you. But I hope and pray that there are other people that connect with you and say, I feel seen and thank you for speaking for me, because I don't have the power to do it myself right now.
I love that. Yes, I hope that they feel seen and that my book feels like a big hug. I really hope it just wraps them and lets them know that, like, they're worthy of love. They really are. And if those that do read it, just send me a DM. I am one of these that you can reach me. And so I want to connect with every single reader and every person that's listening to this. We can talk about it. Narcissistic abuse needs to be told out loud because that's how more people get empowered. Yeah. And so that's really the journey that I'm on.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kate. I've enjoyed this so much.
Amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my guest, Amy Duggar King, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe and leave a 5-star review. I would love for you to join the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey. You can get my weekly What to Watch and Unscripted list by going to katecasey.substack.com. You can also get bonus podcast episodes, and I'm going to be talking about this episode included in that. You can find them on Apple Podcast or on Patreon at patreon.com/Kate Casey. And you can also follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Thread, and Blue Sky at Kate Casey. I hope that you are having a great week and check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.